y'all, welcome back to my channel. McCloud here. Thank you so much for being here, especially with all the craziness going on. Today I thought I would share something really fun and positive and just show you guys my bridal makeup routine that I actually used on my wedding day. If you are excited, go ahead and hit that like if you like seeing content like this, subscribe to my channel, and ring the notification bell so that you don't miss any new videos and you can be the first to watch, the first to comment, the first to everything. So I have here all of the exact products that I used as far as I can remember. I think I'm probably about 95% accuracy. So I actually did my own wedding makeup and I just decided that I was going to find the best of the best stuff and it was all going to be drugstore and that was going to be it. Mostly I think I succeeded and my wedding makeup lasted and it looked great in pictures. So that's really what you want to see. The first product that I used to prepare my makeup on my wedding day was the No. 7 Airbrush Away Primer. This is a really nice primer. It's got like a nice thin consistency. Yeah, I just really like it and I feel like it does extend the wear of my foundation. Now I have already prepped my skin by cleansing it and moisturizing it. For my wedding day, I kind of gave myself like an at-home facial because I was too cheap to go out and get a real one. I would highly recommend going and getting a professional facial because first of all, it feels great and it's going to reduce stress on you. And then second of all, you know that your skin is going to be really well taken care of, deeply exfoliated, nourished, moisturized, all that good stuff. So I know that right now with all the craziness with coronavirus, you probably don't want to go to a professional right now, and that is totally okay. That's your decision, and also it depends on the availability to you. So if you guys want me to do like an at-home facial tutorial or something like that, I totally can do that. I would just say that, long story short, before your wedding, make sure that your skin is really nourished and is like hyper moisturized, especially the night before, because you're probably not gonna sleep very well. So get yourself like a sheet mask, get yourself an eye mask, have just like a self-care night where you like deeply exfoliate everything and yada yada yada. I will say that as I'm going through this, I'm noticing how my routine has changed a little bit and things that I would do differently if I were to do my wedding makeup now a year later. So if you guys want me to do an updated bridal routine, I can do that as well. So while we're priming, I'm gonna go ahead and prime my eyelids. That way that can be drying down. But I know for a fact that I used the Milani eyeshadow primer and it was actually this exact tube. I bought it like right before my wedding. So this guy has lasted a long time. I also know that on my wedding day I didn't want any of my redness or anything peeking through my foundation. Even though I used a super full coverage foundation, I still wanted to color correct a little bit. So I used the MAC Paint Pot in Soft Ochre to color correct, and I used this e.l.f. Flawless Concealer brush. It's just like a big fluffy brush, and I went ahead and put it on the areas of concern on my face, which for me are like down in the jaw area, also my chin area. I just have a tendency to get red in these areas. I'm just very well circulated. And it was also kind of warm on my wedding day. We had an outdoor wedding, so I wanted to make sure that like I wasn't gonna be like just turning into a tomato. Just anywhere where you have extra redness, I would say go ahead and use a color corrector, especially a thick one that dries down really, really matte like this one does. And it doesn't have to be blended in super perfect or anything like that. It just needs to be a nice layer of it. So I use a yellow to correct red because it maintains that brightness of the red. So it's not gonna look dull as if you were to put like a green on top of it. It would make the red look gray. It kind of just like swerves it as opposed to trying to go the opposite direction. It kind of just redirects the red. So when I went to buy my foundation for my wedding, I wanted like the fullest coverage imaginable, but I didn't want to have to pay through the nose to get it. So my first thought was Estee Lauder Double Wear, and then I realized it was like $50 a bottle, and I was like, ha ha. So I happened to see a YouTube video recommending this foundation. It is the Hard Candy Glamoflage foundation. I am telling you, down to the smell, it is an exact dupe for the Estee Lauder Double Wear. The only difference is how you apply it to the skin is this little doe foot, which I don't really love. My only issue with it is that, first of all, the smell, it smells like paint. Second of all, that applicator. And then third, it dries down super quickly. So my solution for that was to get a giant sponge. So this is the Real Techniques like body makeup sponge, and it's a little bit more dense than their face one, the little smaller one, but it worked for what I was trying for it. So I actually had to get 3 different shades of this foundation to like mix and match to my perfect color. They don't have a great shade range, but they were $6 each, and so I was like, okay. So I'm just going to mix this up on the back of my hand. It's so thick, it feels like honey. I'm gonna test it out. Yeah, it's a little light, so I'm gonna put in a little bit more of that darker one. Okay, so then what I did was I like went directly into it. So then I just came in and I blended as fast as I could. So you really wanna like get it in there. Whew, this sucker is heavy. My arm is getting tired. Okay, I'm a little worried because that looks quite pale, like compared to my shoulder. So I'm gonna take 1505 Beige. I seem to remember this foundation layering up terribly. It's like one of those that you have to get it right the first shot. Ooh, yeah, I'm not confident. My skin does not look smooth. Yeah, this stuff is matte. Trying not to smile or anything because I feel like this is going to gather in my smile lines. It's just one of those that takes an age to dry down. For concealer, I wanted super coverage, so what I wound up using was from Makeup Revolution. I think it's their Conceal and Define concealer, but I wound up using that one completely up. Like the tube was totally dry. For my wedding day, actually, I was scraping the sides of the tube to try to get it out. I haven't repurchased since because I like trying other things. So today I'm just going to use my e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, but the Conceal and Define was what I actually used. I think I actually used a little tiny baby mini sponge on my wedding day. This thing is giant. Now on to powder. I know for a fact that I baked on my wedding day, and I know for a fact that I used this powder. This is my number 7 Perfect Light Translucent Setting Powder. It is beautiful. It's a lovely product. I haven't used it very much since. I've just been trying other stuff, but this continues to be one of my favorite powders. So I'm just going to tap some off into the lid. It's a lot of powder actually. And then I'm going to take this flat part and I'm going to bake under my eyes. I haven't done this in months. Okay. So Aaron and I have been together for 3 years now. I think it's 3. We got married when we had been dating for like little over 2 years. Yeah, we just had our 3-year dating anniversary, and our 1-year wedding anniversary is tomorrow actually. It is the 23rd of March. I always wanted to get married in March. I just always wanted a spring wedding with flowers and everything. My bridesmaids wore periwinkle bridesmaids dresses and they all looked beautiful, like fluttery, floaty butterflies, and I just loved it. Oh my gosh. I made my own flower arch. We got married at this really old house in Ruston where I was living at the time. Such a beautiful wedding. I learned a lot about myself through the process of planning our wedding and everything. I learned a lot about how I handle stress or don't handle it. We had the best photographer ever. Her name is Nina Schultz. I've known her since I was a literal child, and she is just so talented and such a kind soul. She was like an extra bridesmaid. She really was. So she was an absolute blessing. We loved her. She charged way too little for what she gave us because she gave us actual art. It was amazing. But yeah, I just loved our wedding. It was very like Cinderella inspired, and my dress was my mother's wedding dress. It was completely remade for me, and that was always a dream of mine, to be able to wear my mom's wedding dress. It was lovely. I had butterflies in my hair. These are the clips that I was wearing on my wedding day. It was just so pretty and feminine, and I loved everything about how our wedding wound up looking. It was such a fun experience, and I would totally do it again. I told Aaron, I was like, can we get married again in like 5 years? And I learned a lot. I think that I would do some things differently, but not a whole lot, honestly, because it was just such a beautiful thing that was so us. So that's what it's supposed to be. For brows, I honestly, for the life of me, cannot remember what I did. I can't remember what product I used. I think I was probably using the e.l.f. brow pencil, which is a really nice like $2 product. It's fantastic. And then I can't remember for brow gel what I was using, either NYX or Milani, something like that. But today I'm just gonna use the one that I'm trying to use up. Brows are so personal, and they're different for every person. Like no two brows are the same. So I think that whatever you're comfortable with using, whatever you feel flatters you, or your makeup artist feels flatters you, I would use that. I would just make sure that whatever you're using, just make sure that it like matches the color, even if it's lighter or darker. But yeah, Aaron and I met when he was on the football team his senior year of high school with my older brother, who was also a senior at the time, and they were the only 2 seniors on the homeschool football team. Go Saints! But the only thing that I really remember about Aaron from that time was that he was the guy that everybody on the football team was like that's a good guy. And so when he messaged me like 8 years later, I think it was, in college, I was going into my senior year of college, and he messaged me and he said, hey, you know, I want to hang out with you. I was like, anytime, Aaron McCloud, even though I like didn't know him at all. I was like, I feel like I know him because other people know him, you know? We had been Facebook friends like all that time, and he'd always, you know, looked out for me and everything. That was the Total Temptation brow pencil by Maybelline, by the way, and this is the Anastasia clear brow gel. Our first date, we walked through City Park in New Orleans. We had beignets at Morning Call, which is now dead, sadly. It was like a staple. But yeah, we just kind of walked around and we sat on tree roots and we talked about different types of fruits. We talked about our exes. We talked about our families. We talked about wanting to adopt kids. We talked about being Christians and how we got saved. We just talked about like all this different stuff. And I know it sounds weird like on a first date to talk about like your past and everything. I don't know. I think we both just felt that connection immediately that like this person is going to be my friend. I was totally head over heels in love, but he was like, I think we can be good friends. So for our first date, we wound up getting beignets, and then we walked around for like an hour or so, and then we got dinner at a gumbo place, and then we went to the side of the lake, Lake Pontchartrain, and we sat there and he played violin for me in the freezing cold for like hours. And so the date lasted from like, I want to say it was like 2 p.m. until like 10 p.m. And I was like, I have an hour drive to get home. I have to leave. And so as I was leaving, it was so sweet. He grabbed my hand and I thought he was gonna like shake my hand. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And then he like wound up kissing my hand, and I was like, and I was so nervous that I like whipped back to my car because I was like so shy. I whipped back to my car and I whacked my rearview mirror out of spot, and I didn't notice until I had driven like 3 miles away. I was like, oh gosh, I don't have a rearview mirror. So now like whenever he kisses my hand, I'll like smack it against something. This is from e.l.f. This is their St. Lucia bronzer and blush duo, and so I just used this shade on my wedding day. I don't remember using the blush at all. Very nice for like marking out your cheekbones and everything. But yeah, so Aaron and I have just been in mutual weirdness since day one, and it's been an absolute joy to be his friend, to be his girlfriend, to be his wife. That's what you really want to see in your relationship, is that you actually genuinely enjoy being around that person, that they make you feel good about yourself, but they'll still challenge you and they'll still call you out when you're being an idiot, as Aaron does all the time. Even though he doesn't say I'm an idiot, I'm like, I know I'm an idiot. You don't have to tell me. But you know, this person will encourage you, and they'll discourage you in what you need to be discouraged in. They'll shame you for stuff that, no, I'm just kidding. We don't shame each other. But no, seriously, I think that the best way that I can phrase it is the way that Dr. James Dobson phrased it. You want to marry somebody who you're better together than you ever would have been apart. That's really kind of the whole goal. When God said man needs some help, he needs a helper, I really hear him saying he needs some help. That's why God made woman, is to balance humanity, because humanity wasn't complete without women. And so I wanted somebody who could be that with me and for me, that we would have a mission together. And I also had another goal for our marriage and for our relationship that I will tell you just as soon as I put my blush on. So for blush, I think you guys already know which one I'm going to use. It's my Milani Baked Blush in Luminoso. This thing is jacked, but I still used it on my wedding day, so this stuff is beautiful. It's just such a lovely glow, and I think that's kind of like the point of wedding makeup. You want to be like glowy and soft and feminine, but at the same time you want that stuff to stay, and this is like a really nice long-lasting blush. So my other goal for our marriage, and we said this in our vows, oh, by the way, we wrote our own vows, it was for us to be so united in our relationship that people would say God must have sent Jesus into the world, and Jesus must have the power to save, because there is no other way those two weirdos could ever get along. You know, I really want our marriage to be a testimony to the power of God to bring people together and to make us unified even though we disagree, so that we can be used for his purpose. Love that blush. I'm just not used to all this coverage. I feel like I look like a painting right now. I just feel like I went a little too hard, so I might have to blend some stuff out. Then for highlight, I am going to use my Milani Strobe Light Instant Glow Powder in the shade Afterglow. Mine's kind of jacked. Story of my life, so I'm just gonna, oh gosh, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. This is too much. That's something else that you need to remember on your wedding day. You can go super full coverage even if it scares you a little bit. In fact, you want to look a little bit heavy, because the photographs will actually remove probably 25 to 50% of your makeup. So if you look at yourself in the mirror on like a practice run or something, you're like, oh, that's probably a little bit good, because that means that you're gonna look really amazing in the pictures. And like, it's funny, you look at the pictures of me and like I barely look like I'm wearing makeup at all when I looked heavy in real life. Just draw a line down my nose. I do like this highlighter. It's not like the best thing I've ever used, but it's nice. It does emphasize texture a little bit. Like, I'm seeing a lot of texture on my face, but that's also the foundation, the fact that I powdered heavily. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and do my eyeshadow. So I used two different palettes on my wedding day. Both of them were from Milani. I feel like I could have just done a full face of Milani for my wedding day and I would have been fine. So I used the Pure Passion palette here, which is nice and pinky, and then I used the Bold Obsessions palette for these browns over here. So I'm just gonna go in with this matte nude. And then I'm going to take this pink. I really wanted like a pink and brown look for my wedding, so I tried hard to accomplish that. I'm pretty darn sure that I went in with this one next. And then I'm gonna take this shade here. With this shimmery chocolate color. And this pinky color. And then I think I took this one right here. Better. For setting spray, I used the Flower Beauty Seal the Deal setting spray. This is their matte finish one, and when I tell you matte, it's like liquid powder. I hate the sprayer on it though, which is why I stopped using it. Okay, so there's that. And then for my waterline, I used the NYX Wonder Pencil just to make my eyes look a little bit more open. Yeah, let me go ahead and do my mascara. So I had actually used the L'Oreal Lash Paradise in a waterproof formula. I don't have that today, so I just figured I'd use the one that I've been trying to use up because it's good. This is the Benefit Roller Lash. I would say definitely waterproof because you're probably going to be crying on your wedding day. And then anything that is volumizing and lengthening, basically your favorite mascara, just use some waterproof stuff. And then I put false lashes on, so for me it wasn't like a huge deal which mascara I used. It was just that Lash Paradise was my favorite at the moment. It's a good one, I do recommend it. For lips, I used the NYX Suede Lip Liner in the shade Stockholm. I'm getting low on it. It's just a nice matte formula. And then for lipstick, I used the Rimmel London Moisture Renew in the shade Coral Garden. It's like this nice, warm, rosy coral. Because I wanted it to be classic and like 1950s-ish, like a Cinderella and Grace Kelly kind of inspired look that I was trying to create. I wanted a red, but like not like a red, you know? That's nice. And then I also put on false lashes for my wedding. I can't exactly remember the ones that I used. I think they were the Kiss Veil ones because I want to say that like the romanticism of using one called Veil for my wedding day was like too much for me and I bought them and used them. But I know for a fact they were ones that were longer on the outside than they were on the inside. The inner corner was super short because I don't have a lot of space there. And I know that they were not very long because I didn't really want anything that was like whoosh. I have here the little black dress ones from Kiss. I know that I've used these before and these could have been the ones that I used on my wedding day. I'm not sure, they just kind of have the right shape. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these on with the Kiss Strip Lash Adhesive. It's the one that has aloe and it is waterproof. This is literally the best lash glue. It's amazing. Get it, don't get anything else. Don't listen to any other recommendations, just this one. But this one is formaldehyde free and latex free and it dries down clear. So it's really, really nice and it's easy to work with. Those are the lash recommendations I would give you. I'm gonna go ahead and put on some false lashes and I'll be right back. So this is the final look. I hope y'all enjoyed, that you learned a little bit about Erin and me, and our relationship, that you got some good advice and some good tips. And if you would like to see anything else related to this tutorial, please let me know, because I love talking about weddings and makeups and fairy tales and literally anything like that. Also, if you haven't yet had a chance, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, because I post stuff like this about twice a week. I'm posting beauty videos and then an extra like beauty related topic once every couple of weeks. Yeah, lots of nice new content, exciting stuff happening. Thank you so much for being here. Leave a comment down below what you think of this look and what you'd like to see next. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you next time. Okay, bye!